I'm currently working on an Austrian dirndl dress. And as I have mentioned previously, I'm really trying to shop only from my fabric stash because it's gotten a little bit out of control. Most of my fabrics I pick up at estate sales, and it's vintage. And for this dress, I actually didn't have enough of any one fabric, so I'm trying a design in which I'm sort of using coordinating fabrics, and the apron that goes over this is also another fabric. And even on this bodice, I didn't have enough for the bodice, and I wasn't really liking the solid colored fabric, so I had an idea to embellish it further so it really looks like a deliberate choice. And when I go to estate sales, I always find these little bits of lace, and you can see it was attached to something at one time because there's still little threads that I'm gonna have to pick off. And dirndls are often worn during Oktoberfest, and Oktoberfest is in essence the celebration of the harvest. And I never knew what I would use these oversized grape appliques for, but I'm thinking I'm gonna dye these tone on tone, then hand stitch it to the back of this, just for some additional interest and texture. So let's see how that goes. Okay, I dye stuff all the time, and if it is just small pieces like what I have here, I simply use a larger glass mixing cup and then a stainless steel spoon. And the reason why you want to use glass and stainless steel is because the dye will not stain it. Now, this is water that I have just boiled, and on the back of the dye it does always say to add a little bit of salt and or dishwashing liquid. You do not want to skip that step because that is what helps to set the dye. Now, to get the shade I'm looking for, I think it's going to be a combination of these two colors. And I like this liquid dye because, again, I can just use a little bit and then put the cap back on and it's fine. So I am going to do a few test patches with some scrap fabric, and then when I think I have the right level of color, then I will add my lace. And after it's dyed to the color that I like, you simply just rinse it off and then lay it out on an old towel. So I'm going to get started. I need both hands for this process. So I've added the lace pieces as well as a little bit of twill tape. And the interesting thing about dyeing is, even though these two objects were put into the dye at the same time, you can kind of see that the twill tape is taking the dye a lot lighter. So I'm either going to need to have it sit longer or perhaps add the darker eggplant color. But the lace itself, it's really to almost what I want it to be. I did move the dress into the kitchen so that I could refer to it for the color matching. I then basically rinse the pieces in hot, then warm, then cold water until the water is pretty much clear. When I first start rinsing, the water was a bright fuchsia color. So I know now that the dye is pretty well set, so I'm going to wring it out and lay it on the towel to dry. Okay, I finished sewing the waistband, and I've decided that with the dirndl, I don't really care for the way it looks. I think it needs a little bit more contrast at the waistband. So I am going to take it off and start over. The dirndl is done and I am delighted. Somehow all of the various fabrics work well together, and I really love the back piece of lace tatting that I dyed to match, just kind of for a bit of extra embellishment. This was my first time doing the multi-gathered apron treatment. It's very similar to smocking, and I love how it turned out. I'm sure that in my future I'll be making some more of these aprons. And I opted to use traditional metal buttons on my dirndl. I own two dirndls that I had purchased when we lived in Germany, and I did look at how they were constructed so that I could get a more traditional feel. I will be reviewing the Berta pattern on my website, Decor to Adore, and I will link to that down below in the description box. So the only thing left now is to show you the dirndl in action, and of course there has to be outtakes. If you enjoyed the video, I'd love for you to hit the thumbs up button right down below, and be sure to hit the subscribe button in the corner so you'll be notified for all of the fun holiday content that will soon be coming your way. Thank you so much for watching.
Oh no, don't record this. It's better on the grass, baby.
So if you like the video, hit the thumbs up button and be sure to subscribe.